I did an interview earlier today, and some people say it sounds like silver pumping, but it's not. It's just not. It's just actually trying to do the right thing and run a good business. And people, the higher the metal goes or the scarier the world gets, only reinforces people's mentality for ordering it in the first place. And I believe every word I say to you. I believe in my soul. So hopefully people will take me at face value on that.
Today, Andy Schectman reveals the strategic misdirection happening in the global gold and silver markets. As major players quietly accumulate precious metals, the public remains in the dark, misled by manipulated prices and misleading rhetoric. Andy sheds light on how China's understated gold purchases and the West's calculated market moves could signal a looming shift in the financial system. Stay with us as we uncover the hidden strategies at play and what they mean for the future of gold, silver, and the global economy.
Gold and silver have the same type of demand that securities have had for a long time. Maybe there's some event where the very, very wealthy people just get on the phone and they say, I'll take everything you have. I don't care what it costs. Give it all to me. What do you do at that point as a business owner? Someone says, you got 300 million worth for me, 500 million, I'll take it all of it. And I think that will happen when people wake up to something. And there's going to be something to reset this system. And I don't know if it's by revaluing gold or the whole system imploding because of Operation Sandman, the dollar's dumped, or something far less dramatic. But we cannot continue down a path of creating $100,000 of debt per second because, as Putin said, and would it really surprise anyone if we tried to assassinate Putin? I mean, who in the hell could ever say that the ineptitude of the Secret Service in protecting President Trump, so much ineptitude that it becomes more than that. It becomes a plan. And who's to say we didn't do it? Just like the pipeline under the ocean, the Nord Stream pipeline. Who's to say that we weren't involved in any of this stuff? I'm not trying to go down that road of being conspiratorial, but what I am saying, there will be something that wakes people up. And I do believe that. And when there is a wake-up call, I think very quickly it goes from being calm to chaos, just like that. And it happens in a point where 1 or 2 or 3 wealthy people can blow up this entire industry. Literally, $1 billion, there would be nothing left on any online company in America. And when you realize that, everyone is ordering product from around the globe, how fast can that shut off? I don't know. I'm just simply saying to wait for confirmation is the dumbest thing you could ever do if that's what your intentions are. And maybe it's not even people waiting for confirmations. It's more a statement that I think by the time the public realizes that you and I have been right for a long time, just way early, there's a high probability you won't get product. And I say that from witnessing this happen when no one wanted gold, where the mints run out of product for whatever reason, and there's nothing left. And then you put into into the equation possibilities of war and supply chains being shut off, and being more of a protectionist environment. All of these countries who are selling gold to the West, maybe they say, "No, we're going to keep it for ourselves." People talk about nationalizing the mines. What about nationalizing the mints? What about nationalizing the country's assets? If Zoltan Pozsar is right, and this is about he or she who has the commodities wins, at some point that has to happen. So I guess I'm saying that I don't think this will be something that we comment on week after week where it's rising premium. As much as it goes from 0 to 100 miles an hour, I would say there's a higher probability in this environment. And I would say, if people could raise their hands watching this video, and I would say, how many people think that there will be something that shocks people between now and end of the year before the election? How many people do you think, Chris, would raise their hands out of 10? 8, 9, 10, or less? I don't know. I think it might be all of them. So when you talk about premium, yeah, it's as good as it's been for the last couple of years. It's up a little bit. But, Silver Eagles are still basically as cheap as they've been in 4 years, as is junk silver. And availability as good as it's been in 4 years. And it makes zero sense to me. At a time when ETFs in China are up 85, 90%. But here, it's like the people in the West, because of the media that doesn't tell us what's happening, are being led to the pen with the rest of the sheep. And that's the truth. And I try so hard to be passionate about this stuff so you can take the fact out of the equation that I own a metals company. Because I did an interview earlier today and some people say it sounds like silver pumping, but it's not. It's just not. It's just actually trying to do the right thing and run a good business. A lot of people think they have to be mutually exclusive, but I do believe, Chris, there will come a time where it goes from 0 to 100, where there's such large sales by people who are so scared that the premiums go parabolic. And that's why they say there's no bull market like a metals bull market, because if in that environment, who the hell is going to sell back into dollars for a huge profit? For what? And people, the higher the metal goes or the scarier the world gets, only reinforces people's mentality for ordering in the first place. So that's when the secondary market's gone. And if you're only reliant upon the US and the Canadian Mint and a handful of domestic refineries, good luck. So it's a good time to buy it now. Premiums are attractive, and for the life of me, I don't understand that. I think they should be much higher, and I think products should be much tougher to get. But that just comes from someone who drank the Kool-Aid a long, long time ago, and I believe every word I say to you. I believe in my soul. So hopefully people will take me at face value on that. When I heard that, I went back through some notes that I had maybe a year ago, 2 years ago, and it was in 2021 that the head of the Polish National Bank, Adam Glapiński, and he was talking about why they were expanding their gold holdings. He said, gold will retain its value even when someone cuts off the power to the global financial system, destroying traditional assets based on electronic accounting records. Of course, we do not assume that this will happen, but as the saying goes, forewarned is always insured. And the central bank is required to be prepared for even the most unfavorable circumstances. That's why we see a special place for gold in our foreign exchange management. Of course, in that article, I think they talk about the head of the Dutch National Bank, who talks about if there's a financial crisis and price will skyrocket, and the official gold reserves can be used to underpin a new gold standard, according to the Dutch National Bank. So when you talk about the central bankers, they know the playbook, and that's the truth. And I think most of the numbers that are reported in these central bank holdings are massively understated. But that's okay. It's still quite obvious that they are the ones that have been leading the charge in gold's rise. I don't know how much investor demand really factors into it in North America. I really don't, because quite frankly, I've never in 34 years seen a period of time where, anything more than 1% is invested in metals. And as Rick says, it's 0.5% or less. So what happens if it's 5% or 10% or an allocation on average of 10%? Is that really that outlandish when all hell is breaking loose? Well, that's a 20-fold increase then if Rick is right. So what does that do to the supply demand numbers? What does that do to the availability? This has been an industry where getting product for many, many times in my career has been very challenging in a period of time where, no one's buying it really. So I think it's interesting. This is misdirection. The smart people misdirect everyone else with rhetoric, with price, and with what's happening in other markets. And at the same time, that leaves them unfettered access to accumulate without being crowded out of the trade, without being outed, if you will, for what they're intending to do. So those numbers, I bet they're much higher than what they say. It's like you and Vince talking about the silver concentrate in Doré that has been purchased in Latin America. All of that has been done so as to not trade off of an exchange, to not move the price. How much is that is done around the world in gold and silver? I don't know. But I would simply say that when you have the head of the IMF come out and say that China is well understating the amount of gold that they're buying, when you have, the import-export data, when all the banks are going through, I think in the UK, they have to use the banks or whatnot to go through the export data to the refineries or to the end user, it shows that China did not stop buying for 2 months in a row, as we knew that they didn't. And it's interesting, they turned down the premium on the Shanghai exchange for gold, not on silver, but make the West price slightly higher than Shanghai to make people think, they stopped buying gold. Yeah, that's real. But they didn't. And look at the effect that it had. But here we are, right back up again. So I think this is a trend that will continue until something breaks, and then it accelerates. If this is really true, where they are trying to misdirect, they are trying to accumulate, it wouldn't do them any good to be forthright about their accumulation. It wouldn't do them any good to be very honest about it. And especially if we revalue gold and it underpins a new system. I mean, it's funny because no one talks about, how much gold does the U.S. have? Where did the gold go from the Ukraine, the 12 billion that they sold? Where did Gaddafi's gold go and his silver? Where did Hussein's gold go? I mean, where did it all go? Do we have it? Did we confiscate it while we were there? Are our numbers right? Who knows? We don't tell. So to expect any of the numbers that these central banks are telling, it's probably all fugazi, but probably much higher than what they're actually saying.
As global powers continue to quietly accumulate gold and silver, understanding the bigger picture becomes more important than ever. If Andy Schectman's insights opened your eyes to what's really happening, be sure to like, subscribe, and share this video. Keep following us for more in-depth analysis on the forces shaping our financial future. Thanks for watching, and stay informed.